Hiya, I'm Hannah Shree Smith from the British Blacklist, and today I'm with Aldis Hodge, who plays Jim Brown in the new movie One Night in Miami. So the first thing I wanted to ask you, obviously being one of the four leading actors in the film requires bringing to life a really iconic figure, but you've got the added pressure that Jim Brown is still alive. So, I mean, did you have any conversations with Jim Brown when creating the character, and do you know how he's received it?
I didn't have a conversation with Mr. Brown prior to shooting, and didn't get the chance to meet up with him. We had a very short time period from start to finish, and for me, it was a creative choice to not discuss things with him. It was more about I wanted to sort of display my creative take on who he was to me. When I started doing the research and I felt how he inspired me, I wanted to really display that and hopefully in a way that honored and respected him, from one artist to the next. But I heard that he did see it and that he did approve of the performance and that he liked it. So I was like, all right, this is good with me.
Yeah. So you said about him inspiring you. Like, what was your process when building the character?
So it was just I studied what he was doing in the particular time frame, in the '60s and where his mind was at, and right after this point where we find him in the movie, he makes his transition into film, but he also starts the Black Economic Union because he wants to educate his community on the power of economic education and prowess and knowing where to maintain that sort of how to control that narrative for yourself. And I just thought it was really profound, especially for him in this particular time where he's making a transition into a very foreign sort of business, but he does so and he goes and he dominates, And I was really impressed with his business acumen and then the way that he understood the actual context of what was going on culturally. He was never disconnected from it, so it was impressive.
So you said a bit about this thing about building your own narratives as a Black man, and I think it comes across in this conversation you have with Cassius Clay in the film about kind of what the degree to which you do have freedom as an actor in Hollywood. And I kind of wanted your own opinion on this. Do you feel freedom in the types of roles that you're offered or that you can accept?
I feel freedom in the choices I make. And most of that freedom is felt when I say no to something. You have to learn how to say no, and you have to learn how to live with no and be okay with that, regardless of the choices, the results of that. If I say no to a movie and it goes on to win 15 Oscars, I have to be okay with that regardless, because I had to know that I said no for a real reason. I've been working to put myself in a position where I can control my narrative, and I'm at a position where I feel comfortable with that now, but also know that it's still a constant everyday fight. It's never resting. I deal with people who don't understand the necessity for putting Black writers in the room or for casting, Black people for a story that's influenced and heavily based on Black culture. It's just like, why? So you still deal with that antiquated thinking, but I'm in a position now to challenge that and continue challenging that. And regardless of where you are, whether you're just starting in the business or you've been a veteran for a little while, you're always in a position to challenge that and control your narrative. Just be prepared for the fight that's going to take. It's always going to be a fight, but you're always in that position. So make the choices to control your narrative at all times.
Yeah, I think that sort of message does actually come across really well in the film as well, in all the dialogue and the issues that we see the characters discussing. And I wanted to ask you, I mean, were some of the issues that they talk about in the script, were they things you'd already thought about? And also, I guess more generally,
the conversation we have in this script is a conversation I've had continuously with my own people for years on end. It's stuff that I've already experienced. Again, like I said, it resonated so much with me because it's so honest and true in our experience in so many different ways. And what I love about this is how they display these men coming from different positions on this, but figuring out how to work together and support each other towards a primary goal. So that is so it's such a great example that is set. And, Kim Powers did an amazing job with really navigating how to display that. But yeah, I think I've touched on a little bit of every little piece of what these guys are talking about in this script. Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to ask you, I mean, you said about the power of conversation, that even though they have these different perspectives, they come together and talk about them. And I wanted to ask you, what would you like to see Black men kind of discussing in the future, whether that's in private or in the films that we see representing masculinity?
I'll tell you rather what I have seen that I would like to see more of, and I would like to see get more support and light and notoriety, is that I do have, a lot of good brothers in my life that we discuss the importance of highlighting our people, protecting Black women, emphasizing education within the Black community, making sure that we really celebrate the good things, the great things, the fantastic things that make up Black culture, as opposed to this very, very, very small percentage that like people like to pay attention. This 0.05% that people like to pay attention to, and they say this is the totality of the representation of Black culture. No, somebody needs to feed you that narrative for their bias agenda to keep your perspective of us in a specific place. But the truth of us is that we're fantastic, we're intelligent, we're elegant. That is who we are. That is our nature. That is our truth. So what I want to see continue, and what I want to see more light shed on, is that we are talking about how to show and see and prove our, not even prove, we just are, in our truth, we are a beautiful culture, and that needs to get more attention, far more than, the madness that we see on the news.
I completely agree. Thank you very much, Aldis,
Thank you.
and thank you for the film as well.
Thank you.